Why is mobility so important? Isn't it just a case of stretch more, we get more flexible, and therefore we get better?
There is an element to that. Certainly from a mobility perspective, we're going to be looking at some static movement, some static stretching to mobilise certain muscles. But what's a little bit more important is whether the underlying joints are actually moving in the right planes and actually doing the right thing. Certainly that's a limitation that we see quite regularly of someone coming in and perhaps being in pain, feeling that they're getting stiffer, tighter, more restricted, and just stretching. And we start to get into this cycle of pain, stretching, perhaps more pain, stretching, and we don't ever really look at the actual biomechanics of what's going on underneath. One of the important things of that really is that flexibility is the foundation for any movement. If you can't move properly, then you're going to risk injuring yourself, and certainly from an injury perspective, but right the way through into injury prevention and obviously top end performance as well, you need to make sure that the joint biomechanics are correct at each level to then bring the whole lot together to make sure you're moving well.
I mean, so many times we get people into the clinic and they say, my hamstrings are tight, I stretch all the time. What can I do about that? Because I stretch today, I make them loose. I wake up tomorrow and my hamstrings are tight again.
Exactly.
What will the session cover?
We're going to break movement down into a couple of key parts. It's a very complex subject, it's a very complex area, so we want to make it useful, we want to make it usable really for everyone involved. So we're going to break the mobility section down into the thoracic spine, so the upper back, the hip and the ankle, which are three key areas that have to deal with a massive amount of force in multiple planes of movement. And it's three key areas that we see probably the most dysfunction out of the majority of patients that we see through the clinic. So when it comes to something like your example of the hamstrings, well, why are they tight? And if I stretch them, why are they not releasing? And what we need to have a look at is whether those joint biomechanics either side of the hamstrings, so in the hip, the knee, the ankle, the thoracic spine, if they're not doing the right thing, then the hamstrings, it's only going to be a matter of time before they stiffen up again. So we're going to break it down into what's good movement, what's bad movement, and what sort of exercise and what sort of mobility program you can do to stave off some of those aches and pains.
I guess talking about the hamstrings, we could also say the similar principles are with the calf and Achilles, where we see so many problems with.
Mm-hmm. Massively. The majority of the time, the calf and the Achilles are not necessarily a problem in themselves. It's a case of the increased load applied and expected of the calf and the Achilles in relation to ankle biomechanics and hip biomechanics, and that transference of force through from the foot up or the hip and lower back down.
Sounds interesting. Can't wait.